Don't you spend enough time waiting for patches, system updates, and even worse, title updates? On Lag Free, we won't waste your time, and we talk about the topics that you want to hear about in a decidedly different fashion. No scripts or forced sides here. Listen to Lag Free, recorded and released regularly on Intrepid Audio Productions.
The best. Or worst food. What I ate. Check it out at the best or worst food, whatIate.blogspot.com.
Sort of break it down like this.
Oh, fantastic. He is one of the biggest meatballs on Twitter.
I'm an idiot.
No, it's okay.
Nice to meet you, I'm Mike.
Could you please take back Tim Tebow?
Oh, awesome.
College football in touch.
I don't understand where these questions are coming from, Tom. That's about it for Manager's Corner. Go yourself and with your show coming up next on the Baltimore Oriole Baseball Network.
I made a note about college sports, and the note just says college sports in general.
Whammy!
Can't do it.
The changes that have happened in the Cub organization are multifold.
Boogie Boogie. Great stuff. Welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on Intrepid Audio Productions. Just to all the listeners, thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on IAP Podcast. This is Matt.
And this is Brandon.
Yes, two of us. And Mike is working, so we're going to be either trying to get him on every now and again or maybe get some email contribution from him. But his hours changed, and that's totally fine. So we look to stay in touch with him as the seasons change and whatnot. But, well, I don't know about you. A little something happened this past Sunday. I think it's maybe – I typically think of it as a ratings grab, something called Championship Sunday that CBS and Fox like to do.
Yeah, I think it's all just a ploy, but
yeah.
No.
Anyway,
definitely the best Sunday in football. That even includes the Super Bowl because you get two games that usually are both actual better matchups than what the Super Bowl ends up being anyhow. So it's always a great Sunday.
Yeah, and that's typically been the case, at least for the past couple of years. I was listening to some of the radio on the my commute home this evening, and Mark Malone from Westwood One, who calls games over the radio, or at least as a sideline reporter, contributor as such, he was actually giving some rather insightful breakdown on how intriguing this matchup really is going to be, because you have an absolute smash-mouth, extremely physical, thuggish to some extent defense versus the greatest technical quarterback that has ever played the game. And so you have this sort of, I don't want to like just minimize it as to, a great defense versus, a great offense. It's certainly not that. They have the Seahawks have a compelling offense. It's just, Russell Wilson certainly hasn't looked that sharp, and, well, they've kind of started to attribute that to his height.
Yeah, I actually heard the same thing. And even their coaches think that he reads offense or defenses rather very well. It's just the reason why he looks like maybe he doesn't is after his first read, he might not be able to see his second or third read, and that's why he's rolling out and trying to create something with his feet. That's a very possibility. I remembered it last year in his rookie year, and watching the few games I've seen Sale play this year, the kid doesn't make a lot of mistakes, that's for sure. Maybe he can't make all the throws some of the elite quarterbacks can, but I don't ever remember going, why did Russell Wilson do that? Why did he attempt that pass? Why did he make that decision? He really doesn't do that. He's a very smart guy. I think he really knows what he can and can't do.
Yeah, I would really, I couldn't agree more. He does seem to be a very good decision maker. Now, maybe that's just how he's been able to go through his progressions. Maybe it's to coaching, maybe it's his ability. I specifically don't know because it's too early to tell right now with just his second year under his belt, and well, he's going to the Super Bowl. Certainly, Seattle was handed a lot of gifts with Colin Luck on the other side of the field, but it was still a very rough game to watch. And what I mean by that is it was intensely physical. And I almost really want to say that while I think the 12th man quote unquote effect, which actually originally started from Texas A&M, but either way, it's a very intimidating place to play in Seattle. And it's all great, grand, and wonderful. I really want to see them play at a neutral location and see how that affects things. I don't specifically expect all of, however many fans, 70,000 fans or whatever, go to, even half that, go to New York for that trip cross country just to, set a decibel record. But, I'm nervous right now because I really like Peyton Manning, and I really want to see him get this championship and kind of ride off into the sunset if that's what he chooses, but match at least his brother in Super Bowl titles just to shut the tremendously stupid up, because I'm sick of the Super Bowl argument as a judge of quarterback.
As a Dolphins fan, I hate that argument. But the fact that you say you're nervous about it, I guess you're kind of feeling like me. You're rooting for Denver, but if I had to make a pick, I'm picking Seattle to win this game. Because a lot of the reasons that you said, very physical defense, not the best quarterback in the league, but one that's not going to kill you. He's not going to make mistakes. Pretty damn good running back. So it's not like they don't have any offense.
I'm sick of the running back thing as far as it's a good weapon to have. I'm not going to doubt that. Adrian Peterson is a tremendous athlete, a tremendous dynamic force for Minnesota. But you want to make him even better? You give Minnesota a top 10 quarterback, hell, a top 15 quarterback, and a top 20 receiver, and then we'll see, and then we can, then we'll make Adrian Peterson even better. But that being said,
right,
last time,
I think you got to look at it in this one game. I mean, that's what we're talking about, just the Super Bowl. What don't you want to happen if you're Seattle? You don't want Peyton Manning on the field. So with your running game, you can control the clock, keep number 18 off the freaking field. I think Seattle, and I think Marshawn Lynch is good enough to carry the load for Seattle in this one game. The weather is going to be not nice. They're predicting kind of mild temps right now, but whatever. Mild temps is 30 degrees. We know Peyton Manning is notorious. I don't want to say he's notoriously bad in bad weather, but he obviously hasn't done well.
Yeah, and I know that kind of goes to his game as far as being a crisp passer and needing conditions to be very, I don't want to say controlled, but favorable. But even then, I just don't put much weight in the running back in a one game, in the new Super Bowl, in what the Super Bowl has become. Last time Seattle was in the Super Bowl, they had Sean Alexander. That didn't really work that well. Did they even get to the Super Bowl with him? I can't even recall. It was against New England, right?
Yeah. Alexander's on that team. Yeah, but I mean, you say that, but look what broke open the game against the Niners. It was Lynch's enormous run in the second half. That basically got not just Seattle's offense going, but it seemed like the jumpstart maybe both offenses. It was completely dominated by both defenses up until that point. There was virtually no offense seen the entire game until Marshawn Lynch broke open a run, got to the end zone, and then it seemed like both offenses got at least something going. and then the kind of the fourth quarter became a little bit crazy again. But I I think Lynch can change the game. He changed the game against the Niners. I think he can change the game against Denver, especially considering that they're playing the Super Bowl in New York, which we all think is stupid, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just me in not giving San Francisco enough credit. I really didn't think much of their defense for the most of the year. And it was impressive to kind of see them hang in seemingly blow for blow at times with Seattle, in Seattle, nonetheless. But, I'm really kind of going to be weighing the factors as far as Denver's experience is as a defense, John Fox's experience as a coach, who's someone that's been to the Super Bowl, has had I almost want to say more success than Pete Carroll at this point in time in his NFL coaching tenure.
Well, yeah, but Pete Carroll's never been to a Super Bowl yet, and I will say John Fox doesn't run away when something bad is happening.
True. Yeah, when governing bodies are coming around, knocking at the door. But I'm not going to hide it. I don't like Seattle. I think they're a nice, cute little story, and for a nice little narrative that's out there. And I hate narratives. I'm not going to go there. But they're a cute little story. They're a novelty act as far as their home record, their home stadium. I think if you get them out of that, they can be vulnerable. And I would really like to see them be vulnerable against one of the best technical quarterback we've ever seen. And it's frustrating because I think it's going to be a very physical game. And I'm really worried about Denver's offense being able to hold up against such a highly physical defense. I mean, both games against Seattle against New Orleans, they roughed up their wide receivers, their tight ends, and made them shrink and disappear. So they completely eliminated that game. Drew Brees is very good. Drew Brees is also very short. Their O-line was better, but it kind of it just wasn't. It wasn't up to what I guess they're used to, I guess you could say. But and then going against San Francisco, I guess I kind of see them as twins, but with one being a little bit angrier, grittier, meaner, dirtier, however you want to call it. Just I don't know if Denver's going to be able to stand up. I think Denver will be able to put points up on the board. I certainly hope so. But look at traditionally what the Super Bowl's become. And God willing, there's not going to be an hour blackout to add that to the game. But the Super Bowl is this all-day affair. This is something that starts at 3 p.m.
Who are you kidding? It started yesterday. Who are you kidding?
I mean, it's an all-day thing. This game's not getting over until somewhere close to 11 o'clock at night, Central Standard. This thing's going a long time.
I'm already getting mad.
And I'm like, it's such a double-edged sword because I think it could be such a great game to attend. I never want to go to a Super Bowl simply because I'm not going to see the commercials. The food's not going to be as good. And, well, now I run the risk of it being outdoors and me being miserable. So,
well, I definitely never want to attend a Super Bowl in New York. I mean, unless even if they put a dome there, because outside the stadium, I want it's supposed to be Miami or New Orleans or Pasadena,
Arizona, SoCal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't even go to one in Detroit. I think about that one. It's like, oh gosh, I can't believe Detroit hosted a Super Bowl, and just want to throw up on that one. But I don't know. It's a closer game than I expected it to be.
Which game?
This Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
I was feeling that San Francisco was going to win, and Denver would just slice and dice them all day. That's not the case. Now I got the angry the angry kid up north that, the the grunge punk guy that's got a chip on his shoulder and gets no media attention, and now I'm going to put him in the Big Apple, the big stage, and let him go wild. And that's not necessary. That's not a shot at at Richard Sherman. It's not. I thought about it because I watched it live. I watched his basically insane wrestling style call out live, and I'm like, oh gosh, what is he doing? And I'm like, they got to cut. They got to get off of him. Get the camera off him.
Well, they did. I mean, Aaron tried to follow up with a question, and then she stopped because they're in her ear. Leave,
like,
leave,
shut
leave.
Shut up, run away.
They're afraid of an F-bomb or something.
And that's the thing. It's that they cut because someone's job was on the line.
Absolutely.
As broadcasting professionals, when you have somebody that's emotionally jacked up and such an emotional high and is, speaking from pure emotion and elation, yet probably angry excitement and whatever else you want to call it, you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. And it's your job to make sure nothing gets said or that you're not costing the company money. So I'm fine with them cutting away when they did. If they had never gone to him to begin with, that's totally fine. I would have much preferred this entire thing to have been a YouTube thing where some reporter has an iFlip or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
A portable camera directly uploads whatever point being, and letting it just be a YouTube sensation. I tweeted out during the game that the Seattle defense was playing like thugs, and that's not necessarily a shot racially motivated or anything like that. That was just a generic statement aimed at how I perceived 11 defensive members playing. They were playing physically. Fine, maybe I should have used physically better, but I'm not necessarily sorry for calling Seattle's defense thugs.
And how can you not? I know there's some apologists now who want to say the Sherman thing was refreshing and things of that nature. I'm sorry, it was. If people are uncomfortable with the term thug, I apologize for that. But he proved that he was a thug right there. And thug doesn't have to be, just a black man can be a thug. White guys can be thugs too.
Yeah, anybody can be a thug.
Right. So I think people need to take that term and realize that that's not, like you said, not a racially motivated term.
Yeah, it's not motivated. It's not charged. If you are conditioned to now believe that, get out a little bit more. Try to get a little bit broader of an experience out, for yourself. But I didn't think it was necessarily. It was interesting. It's getting YouTube hits. Everyone's talking about it. It's dominated the news cycle for 48, going on, 56 hours, whatever you want to call it. But it's not necessary. It's amazing because while everyone likes to call the Shield the no fun league, and that's totally well deserved. I don't want to say it was refreshing to see it or to hear that. It was just, oh gosh, what's going to happen? And I kind of felt this sense of dread and like, oh, that was interesting and kind of crazy and off the wall. I didn't know Richard Sherman's background. I frankly didn't care. I didn't think he was fulfilling some sort of stereotype. I saw a guy that was excited, jacked up about a great play, game-winning play, and, him calling out a hothead receiver. That's totally fine by me. He did his job well. As he stated, they only threw to him twice, threw to Crabtree twice. Once, once was an incomplete, didn't get there, and the second it's an interception. So, that guy shrunk. That's all fine, well, and good. But I don't know. I'm just kind of neutral on the whole thing. I wasn't like, oh, gosh, this is horrible. He's given the NFL a black eye. I think it was more concern out of Fox's CYA policies, and which I understand because they have a higher authority to answer to than the NFL. You would think that, but you would not think that typically. But at that point in time, the game's over. Okay, they got to worry about other things right now. I would have been completely content with Fox going and finding Russell Wilson and getting a post game, some comments from him or Marshawn Lynch. Yeah, it didn't necessarily have to be Richard Sherman. Good reporting and good sense of, hey, let's go get the playmaker.
I don't know if you could understand Marshawn Lynch, but I think Russell Wilson's probably the safest bet right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good to go get the playmaker, but ooh boy, that was it was different to say the least. Not necessarily we're uncomfortable with it. It was just kind of, oh, okay.
I thought it was tasteless. I thought he was completely. I thought it was unnecessary. Maybe they shouldn't have went to him right after he made that play, but I've seen 100 other guys make a play at the end of the game in a emotionally charged game, and they didn't do that. And even if you want that type of people are calling it wrestling style interview, there have been other guys who've done it and done it in a better way where I thought it was entertaining. I didn't think Richard Sherman's rant was entertaining at all. I saw no entertainment value in it. When Bart Scott did it a few years ago, some people had a problem with that. That one, for whatever reason, I thought that was entertaining. This Richard Sherman one, the way I saw it, the way I viewed it, my first reaction was that was tasteless. This guy's a jerk.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. It was just different. I decided to turn off the TV, not follow, not switch over to NFL Network and see whatever primetime gobbledygook they were going to be doing. But everyone sort of had this reaction of, wow, what was that? It was more shock and kind of like it. Not that it hadn't been done before. It was just, you're really going to do this now. You're not. I mean, you're going to act like this at this point in time. I understand emotionally charged situations. I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. None of us are perfect in this situation or in life. So for him to do it, and now for him to kind of back off and shy away and apologize and almost overcompensate and have some media outlets overcompensate for him in saying, oh no, it's like, how can you say he doesn't communicate well? He's going to Stanford for a master's in communication. I'm kind of like, I really don't care what this guy does with his life outside of football. That's all well and good. If he has a charity organization, that's great. But if you're going to be a showboating jag, you're going to have to own it for that time. Any one of us has done the same thing. I'm not saying that everyone has to try to find grace and poise and humility in every situation of victory, but it's always a safe bet to do so. I mean, I'm fine with a canned answer from Peyton Manning of, yeah, they played a great game. Tom Brady they have a great team across the field there. It's such great competition. I love the rivalry. We're just happy we won, and we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm very happy about that. Something canned and stupid like that is totally fine by me. And that's honestly what, sadly, I think everybody wants.
Sorry, muted. I think okay. I think you can be flamboyant and kind of tell what's on your mind. I think the problem I really had with it, and I'm sure most others, is the Niners had just lost. Crabtree just lost. And you're kind of just giving it to him. Right? I mean, his heart had to have been broken, Crabtree just lost the biggest game of his career. Well, they were in the Super Bowl last year, so maybe second biggest game of his career. To me, that's not, show some sort of sportsmanship. And, maybe say something about Crabtree can't handle me. This is why we're the best. This is why I'm the best. I think I would have been okay with that. I think he went a little bit over the top, calling him, basically a scrub. Okay.
Yeah.
And this all started because Crabtree in an interview said that he didn't believe Richard Sherman, didn't really say anything bad about Richard Sherman, but just said Richard Sherman was not the best corner in the league. So all he said was Richard Sherman's not the best corner in the league, in my opinion. And Sherman took that as a giant insult. Well, you know what? Then he's weak. He has thin skin and he is weak. If that's what fueled all this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's an absolutely fair statement. But I think you're also dealing with two positions that have exponentially grown to house a certain mindset and personality. And that mindset personality is a diva. I mean, look at Darrelle Revis on the other coast and how he's handled his situation and how he's handled his career, not only with the Jets but with Tampa. Completely shrunk in Tampa Bay. I think that's simply because Tampa's a bad market in a pretty bad sports town. But now,
Lightning fans are coming to get you. Lightning fans are coming to get you.
That's fine. I think I can handle all 10,000 of them. That's fine. So for those in attendance.
Hey, if all 10,000 of them listening, we'll change our tune.
Absolutely. So please leave us a review. We would appreciate that. Anyway, and wide receivers, come on. You have the biggest.
Are they known as divas?
I
didn't realize.
I think so. I think
Owen's
so.
a diva? Oh, I don't know.
So, I mean, you're dealing with egos and personalities, and that's all fine, well and good, but I don't know. It just seems sort of it's just the NFL, and I guess I'm having NFL kind of personality overload. I'm kind of like, I don't need this. Shut up, go away, play the game. Especially having to listen to this stuff for 2 weeks without playing a game.
Yeah, and it's the person. Well, the funny thing is that, and then we sit here and talk about the one guy that, I mean, the biggest personality in Richard Sherman. The funny thing is, I think everyone expected the post-game shows, and I think we expected to be talking about what? Probably the Denver-New England game. That game kind of ended up being a dud of a game where it just, it wasn't a lot of excitement. New England could have made it a game at the end if they would have converted the 2-point conversion, and if they would have got the onside kick. And the game just never really, nothing ever really happened where I was like, oh my God, this is such a great game. But everyone thought that was going to be the game. The game that turned out that everyone's talking about is the Seattle-San Francisco game, and I'm not even sure if we're all talking about it for the right reason. It really seems like the whole Richard Sherman narrative has taken on a thing of its own, and the game itself isn't being talked about a whole lot. Even that play, the play that he made isn't even really being talked about. The decision to go to the end zone isn't being talked about that much.
That was a bad decision. I don't know what they were doing. I really don't know what they were doing. It was
bad clock management, first of all.
You're absolutely right.
Entire drive, they showed,
he could have stepped out of bounds.
The entire drive, the drive started with a couple minutes, and they they just wore down the clock, showed no urgency, and then you kind of had to go to the end zone because you didn't really have any time left. You still had 2 timeouts though. So I really don't know what Jim Harbaugh, I think he kind of botched. I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. I don't like him personally. I don't like his over-the-top dick goodness. And but I do think he's a good coach. You can't really deny him that. I mean, look what he did at Stanford and now with the Niners. I don't think you can deny his success. But I really think that he kind of botched the end of that game.
You're right, he did. I thought it was poor decision making and very poor awareness from everybody on the field as far as the offense was concerned. Kaepernick had a very rough game. I think they were also trying to not. I see what they were trying to do as far as not letting Seattle have another chance, have another possession, but you have to get your points on the board first. And you should take as little time possible in order to get there. I understand it's not a perfect medium as far as, okay, stay in bounds this play, let the clock go down, call a timeout,
Well,
whatever
and
the
it
case may be.
wasn't the Broncos offense that you were giving the ball back to. It was the Seattle offense who only had scored a couple of times all game. So I
Yeah.
mean, there right there, I think you score. You just worry about scoring because believe in your defense. You have the 49ers defense, your Avon defense. You can stop Seattle's offense. You shouldn't worry about that. So I really don't know what they're thinking if
Oh, especially if Golden Tate is your biggest offensive weapon,
and
aside from Marshawn Lynch. I mean, passing, passing
and
threat.
his biggest thing is what returning kicks. So you make sure you don't kick it to him, and then I think you're safe. What you have to worry about a 4'5" quarterback throwing deep. Well, okay, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Harbaugh fan. I don't really care for the rah rah, get in your face, yell till you're gonna have till you pop a corn, throw a coronary, throw a clot, whatever. Yeah, that's not my style. Is what I want out of a coach. Granted, I don't necessarily want the statue of Lovie Smith out there. I think there's a nice balance out there that can be attained at times that certain coaches have. Of course, those two are being absolute extremes.
I like my head coaches nerdy. Mark Trustman, my friend.
Stats, absolutely. Gambling, counting cards. I love it. Yeah, it's so to see San Francisco not get back there, I'm fine with that. I certainly think he's going to be called into question. I think it buys him maybe a little bit more time in San Francisco, but I certainly think smart fans out in the Bay Area may start to look at him as far as, well, does he not have something, or is he the problem? He's a good coach. I think anywhere that he goes, he may end up succeeding at a consistent level. But right now, okay, he hasn't been able to let the rubber meet the road, finish it off, if you will, and get there again and be able to do it again. He's not Belichick. He's not Peyton Manning or he's not Sean Payton. He's not any of these other coaches that are continuously getting there and have this sort of pedigree. This is only his second year. Yeah, he's doing well. It's trending good, but it could trend down really, really fast because heck, he could just be a flash in the pan for all we know.
See, I'm going to disagree with you. I think he's proven to be the real deal. I don't like him, but you can't argue at success. And no, he hasn't won the Super Bowl,
Right.
but only one team a year wins it, and even Belichick hasn't won it in a decade. So, I mean, it's just the thing is, you want to get there. You want to get to the playoffs every year. You want to get to the NFC Championship every year. Give yourself a chance. And he's done it so far. Until he doesn't, he's got to be the man there.
Yeah, I think I tweeted out that I think I called them. Or no, I was texting my cousin and I called them the bum slaying 49ers because the NFC is rather weak right now. There's not that much competition, and when you have some stiff competition in Seahawks within your division, the rest of the conference, unfortunately, is a lot of meat that's out there, and that's shown to be the case right now. So I shouldn't.
I don't think this is the NFC. I think it's the entire NFL. You look at outside Denver, and who else is there in the AFC? Even New England. All year, did you go? New England's a really great team. No. It was more like, I can't believe these guys are winning. But you never thought they were, like, with all the injuries, you're like, this is Belichick's greatest achievement this year, because who are these guys?
Exactly. And I don't care. You can keep that whole Andy Dalton thing and that whole Cincinnati thing.
Well, okay, the Cincinnati thing, I think you could point at one person. Here's the guy Marvin Lewis still has a job.
Yes, he does. And no playoff wins? Isn't that right?
Did he? I'm not sure if he has
think
one,
he
but
did.
whatever. With the teams he's had, I mean, just unreal offenses. You know, he had Carson Palmer. Before Carson Palmer got hurt, he was an elite quarterback.
Yes, he
He had
was.
him with
I liked it.
Chad Johnson slash Ochocinco slash he's Chad Johnson again. I mean, some great offenses, really good defenses. Last year they had the best defense, and they either won't make the playoffs or they get to the playoffs and bow out quickly. Like you didn't even remember they were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you got yourself a nice high draft pick.
he is one guy I will never understand. And I remember when he was trying to get an extension. This was a few years ago.
I remember this.
He was making demands like I'll only re-sign if the team gets a new practice facility, if the team gets this and this. I'm like, who are you to make demands? And they gave it to him. Not like, well, you haven't really done much, so we're not keeping you regardless, and you're making demands. That doesn't make any sense. No, they gave his demands, and whatever. I don't understand. Like, I feel bad because I've always kind of liked the Bengals. You know, as a little kid, I think I liked their helmets, so I've kind of always been they've never been my favorite team, but I've always kind of had a little bit of an affinity for them. So it just kills me that he's still the head coach.
Yeah, I hear you. So, you got anything else on the NFL?
No, just like I said, I'm rooting for Denver, but I think Seattle will take it. So,
yeah, it'll be close. I certainly think either team will cover. I think that's the best way to put it for you gamblers out there in that area. I certainly don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I would strongly suggest probably betting the over on whatever the line is. I was kind of spitballing a line as far as I was thinking of Denver, San Francisco, and I was kind of putting it at about I think like 5. I'd put it at, because I really felt that Denver would be able to just pick them apart. And well, I gave some credit to Kaepernick, I guess, being able to move and whatnot, but well, that's not the big concern right now. Certainly haven't really thought about this, the new situation, as it were. So, it'll be interesting. And of course, we'll have all the details as that comes out. I guess in a couple weeks. So, switching gears, it was funny.
It's actually now, sorry to cut you off. Denver is actually a 2-point favorite right now. So it's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah. So we'll see. One announcement that happened actually last week that really kind of got me interested. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't specifically recall right now. But the WWE is kind of making a nice entertainment play right now.
It's actually, I think it's really cool. It's really big for their sport / industry, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they are. Well, UFC actually tried to do their version of it, which launched actually a few weeks ago. It's basically a kind of like a Netflix type deal where you can buy an app for your whatever, your PC, your mobile device. I know it's available on some game systems. And the UFC version basically allows you to watch older UFC events and not too much else. The WWE version, which is called the WWE Network, it doesn't launch until February 24th, but they had a couple of weeks ago, they had almost like a E3 for you video game head types out there, E3 type presentation of this this application for all the, everything I just said. PC, mobile devices, and PlayStation. I don't know if it's going to be on Xbox. They didn't mention that, but it's definitely going to be on PS3 and 4. And not only are you going to be able to watch previous pay-per-views, and as far back as, pretty much WWE has bought out the rights to ECW and WCW. So, like, a library of old wrestling. Not only do you get that, but you get all their pay-per-views, which is one a month. You get those for free. Now, it's $10, $9.99 a month. You have to buy 6 months at a time. So you're basically paying $60 for 6 months of pay-per-views. For those of you who don't know, one wrestling pay-per-view in HD, because all this is going to be in 720p anyhow, it runs you anywhere from $50 to $80, depending on the pay-per-view. So just with the pay-per-views itself, you're saving, wrestling fans are saving themselves $40 a month, at the very least.
Yeah.
So many other cool features they talked about. One of them that I thought was real interesting. Basically, if you go back and rewatch Monday Night Raw the following day, you can sync up, like, say you're watching it on your PC, you can link up your phone with it so that you're watching Monday Night Raw on your PC, but on your phone, there's like kind of backstage commentary about what's going on. Just some really cool things for, I think, a price that's unbelievable. Being that you're getting all these pay-per-views, I mean, WrestleMania is like $70 or $80. You're getting it you're basically getting it for $10.
Yeah, and I think that's the amazing thing about it. And just really kind of being bored one day recently and kind of picking up for the first time ever some of the storylines that are going on right now. This is a really, really fun time for wrestling. It's
It really
I don't
is. It's really bad.
I don't know.
I think it's bad.
Yeah, I don't know if it harkens back to. I miss the Rock and John Cena kind of era of back and forth that they had. I was never a really big John Cena fan because this knucklehead kind of came out of nowhere, and I've been a Rock fan since he's been around. When I just very casually dabbled in it, but seeing the characters they have now and the storylines that they have going on right now, this is a tremendous value, I think. One of the things that I thought that they did mention was that during Raw and SmackDown, they'll, of course, go to commercial mid-match and whatnot. And you can boot up your app, your WWE app, and watch what's going on there. Or, I think, watch it online to see what's going on without the commercials.
They actually have that right now.
On
the WWE app. You can do that right now.
Right. I think what the next day will not have any commercial breaks and being able to just see it seamlessly from beginning to end, as far as the matches are concerned and whatnot. But not having to boot it up with your mobile device or using your mobile device to have add-on
right. It's
commentary.
Gonna be right. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be right there. Yeah. And uncut. So if you're watching a women's match and there's a slip, hey, you're gonna be able to see that. It's a good thing.
Although, from what I saw last night, typically the Divas matches when everyone goes, gets some food, goes to the bathroom.
It's pretty. I find with women's sports, I find that some women's sports translate and others don't. I think, like, for instance, women's basketball should never have even been a thing ever. But like women's softball, like, to me, I find that entertaining. They play at a pace that is appealing.
Yes.
Women's tennis is just appealing, no matter how you look at it. I actually say that kind of tongue in cheek. A lot of people go, yeah, well, because they're all in skirts. Part of it is, if you're a tennis fan, they volley a lot more than the men do because the men are so strong. There's a lot more aces, which is, it's a fun part of the game, but there's a lot less volleys in men's tennis as there is in women's tennis, and I enjoy that part of the game. I don't watch tennis very often, but I catch the majors usually. So yeah, some women's sports translate, others don't. Women's wrestling, it's there's been women wrestlers who I've thought were okay because um when Karma was in the WWE, she actually used to be in TNA as Awesome Kong. I mean, she was just a monster, and it was fun to watch her decimate smaller women who just kind of, I mean, looked ridiculous when they wrestled her. Unfortunately, she was only short-lived in WWE because she was there for like 2 months and she got pregnant and then basically just retired from wrestling. But when she was in TNA, I loved watching her. ODB in TNA, excuse me, isn't too bad. Beth Phoenix had that potential, but in WWE, but never really had anyone to wrestle against that I thought could be interesting. So I think right now, like the Divas division in WWE, though growing, like they probably have more divas on the roster now than ever before. It's a hard watch, and they do a lot of like they like to put them all in at the same time, do a lot of like 5-on-5 matches, and it's not good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're working on it. I mean, it's nice to see them at least take advantage of their brand. And if you don't know, there's a quote reality TV show, Divas, Totally Divas. I think that's it, right?
Right.
That's on, I think, E or some other entertainment.
It's E. Yeah.
So they're there. It's a value-adding product if you do follow those storylines, or if you do enjoy those wrestlers, or just I don't know the imagery of it.
If anything, what happens is because on Twitter I follow a lot of wrestling bloggers and just guys who cover it, and I guess because they feel like it's almost part of their job, they watch that. I could never watch it. It's as bad as the Kardashians, but they're getting viewers by that, like just people who I guess it's part of my job, so let me cover it. Or maybe you can see like Daniel Bryan, who's, if you don't know, maybe the biggest star right now. He gets the largest.
Yes.
He gets yes. He gets the largest pops, which is crowd reactions. He's maybe not a household name. Like if you haven't watched wrestling in like maybe a year or two, you're gonna be like, yeah, I kind of remember Daniel Bryan, but I don't really know. I know John Cena, I know The Rock. So Daniel Bryan's maybe not a household name, but if you're watching wrestling right now, he is the biggest star. He really is. And he makes appearances on the Divas show because he's actually dating one of the Divas. So I guess if you watch it, and I guess Cena's been on it a couple of times, so there's reason to watch it if you're that big of a wrestling fan. And I consider myself a huge wrestling fan. I still can't watch that crap. No, sorry.
Two production notes. I think it's Grand Slams and not majors for tennis.
You're right. Sorry.
I just want to keep those rabid tennis people at bay.
I watch the Grand Slams in golf and the majors in tennis.
There you go. Ooh, you're gonna be disappointed. Anyway, yeah, and I think he's engaged. I'm not sure. I think I picked that note up.
You're probably right. I think. I mean, it doesn't matter, but
yeah. And no, I really don't spend my time watching that either. But it's
fun
to watch.
Megan watches it, and you're there. I know.
No, she's not there yet. But wrestling is really I got lucky, I guess is the best way to put it, in coming back when I did. Some really, really great storylines, and well, now I think they kind of is seeing the product that they're now going to be putting out there in a little bit over a month. It really is going to add a lot of value, and honestly could end up making me a better fan and a better wrestling consumer, especially if the only hit that I have to take is $10 a month, and I can brush up on my history and relive moments that I hear great stories about or watch documentaries about, but also get everything live right now and see those things continue. That's going to be fun. That has
there's
a
so
lot of
much
potential
to it. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the fact that Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown you get all the commentary, you get all the old, the whole library of ECW, WCW, and WWE, like you said. I mean, maybe matches you've heard of but never actually got to watch. You can go back and watch those. So even for a fan who hasn't watched before, and they always said Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, but I never saw it. You can go back and watch it now because you're gonna have it on your phone. It's completely worth it, I think.
Yeah. So, oh no, it's exciting, and well, hey, it's sports, and well, you know what? Not much else is fun right now here in Chicago, except Marcus T got traded, and they still find ways to win, and I hate that.
Well, I think
really do.
I think the fact that they traded Marcus Teague actually hurts the whole Tank cause, because he was pretty bad. But yeah, Tibbs, he's too good of a coach. He's got him trying too hard.
Yeah, he does. Let's see. Other than that,
Oh, your boy, the guy who can't play center had like 75 boards last night. Just so you know.
Every rebound. I just don't like him.
I know you
don't like him because he doesn't fit what they need. He just doesn't. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but to me, he has to be a piece of the future. There's I was talking to my dad about it because he was
there's no
on
way.
Saturday he was. I had a family, as you know, a family get together I had to go to, and the Bulls are on, of course, and I had mentioned something about how I was rooting for the Bulls to lose every game, and my family they're kind of upset about it, and so I'm like, who do you want on this team? I'm like, there's no one fun to watch, because they're like, oh, we still watch them. I'm like, I can't, even if they're winning, I can't watch these guys. They're not fun to watch. And I'm like, so we were kind of talking about who was on the roster I'd want to keep, and so I said, I brought up Noah. I said Noah and Butler for sure. I think those are the two guys that I would keep. And then my cousin said, what about Taj? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, Taj. So maybe those three. But definitely to me, Noah has to be a guy that is basically part of whatever you want to do.
He's got too many bad miles on him. He's got too many bad minutes. And he's already got plantar fasciitis, but all right, what basketball player doesn't have plantar fasciitis? That's fine, but he's getting too old.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think if you limit his minutes, I guess the problem is Tibbs just doesn't have that gene in his body where allows him to think the way humans think. Where maybe this game tonight isn't that important, but the playoffs are important. I would love to see Joakim Noah play for the Spurs because he'd probably get a ring because he'd be fresh during the playoffs and he'd get a ring because he'd be part of something bigger. I think.
Yeah.
I think Thibodeau has a problem of seeing the bigger picture. I know he does. That's why he's playing Butler 109 minutes in a quadruple overtime game. On a game back from his freaking injury.
Well, he could have been trying to do everybody a favor and keep him injured.
That helps no one. Well, I guess it would help the Tank, but
Tank wins.
Tank wins, but I mean, then you're hurting the future anyhow by hurting. I think
every win hurts the future.
The only team I want to see the Bulls win is against Charlotte because we need them to lose.
Yes.
Because we're in danger of getting the 19th pick from them. That's not what I envisioned. I envisioned the number 1 pick in 2016.
Oh man. Oh gosh. It's brutal. It really is. But other than that, other side of the UC, the Blackhawks are bounced back. Corey Crawford kind of returning to form. Offense also coming round, and not just not scoring, I guess is the best way to put it. I was really disappointed with the game against Boston. Going into overtime, the 5 minute overtime period, they had a power play, so it was 4-on-3. They took maybe 2 shots the entire time, and
I hated that power play.
thank you so much. Oh
They
gosh,
weren't
I
even
wanted.
they weren't even passing the puck around. It was like guys
No,
were just
okay,
holding
moves
onto the
forward and
puck
back.
forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I hate the fans that shoot the puck, shoot the puck. Well, you have to look for the right shot, but they weren't even like they were holding the puck. The guy at the point, I'm assuming it was Keith. I don't remember exactly. It was like he would hold on to the puck, and
They had
then
all 4 forwards
for
at
like
one point.
6 seconds, and then he'd give it to someone else, and give it to Sharp, and Sharp would hold it for 6 seconds, and it was just like dragging on and just taking time off, and it was brutal. It was really brutal. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was frustrating. I'm like, they're going to lose this game. I texted my cousin. I'm like, look, because they didn't score there or they did not shoot enough, they deserve to lose that game. I thought they didn't. They ended up winning 2-1 in the shootout, which he hates. I don't mind the shootout. What do you think?
Thank you. It's not the best part of the game. No one's gonna say it's the best part of the game, but so many of my friends who are hockey fans, I hate shootouts. I hate shootouts. I hate shootouts. Shootout starts and they're the loudest one in the bar cheering.
Yes.
So come on, it's still somewhat entertaining. It still decides games. How else would you like to decide a regular season NHL game? A season where they play 82 games. I think the only way you can get rid of the shootout is if you shorten the season to maybe 64 games. Otherwise,
and that's never going to happen.
it's never going to happen. They're never going to shorten the season. So how else would you like the game to end? It could go on forever. Sometimes teams. I'm sorry. Sometimes teams play 4 out of 5 nights. It's hockey. This isn't baseball. This isn't even basketball. This is like the most grueling sport. And unlike the NFL, they play 3 to 4 times a week. You have to have a way to finish a regular season game.
I'd say the best way to do it, and I could compromise for it, it's have a 10-minute overtime 4-on-4, then do the shootout. And honestly, that to me, I think that's the best way to do it because you have a half a period of hockey that it's open, it's more open ice. You can score. There's better opportunities allegedly to score, though with the amount of shootouts that are going on right now, I think that's really diminishing. So either adding another 5 minutes will either take that away or it'll keep the shootout numbers the same. But you're right. The game has to end. Decide the winner. Every team's already got their point. Just decide the extra point that's available.
That might be the problem right there.
The extra point.
Well, the fact that you're giving a point just for making it to overtime. You know what? And they even kind of mentioned it on the broadcast when the Hawks were playing Boston. The fact that the Hawks and Boston play in opposite conferences. So
yeah,
their records don't really like Boston's record matters 0 to the Hawks. I can see teams almost giving like a wink to the other team, like, hey, let's just both grab a point here. It benefits both of us. One of us is going to come out here with a second point, but we both get a point. Maybe you should just get rid of that point. Because it doesn't even have to be in the shootout. Even if you lose in overtime, you still get a point. I would love games to just finish without even overtime. Make teams really try to get those 2 points. It's 2 points or nothing. Or obviously if there's 2 points or nothing, you don't even do points. You just go wins and losses like, I don't know, every other major sport in the world.
I'd say, I hate to make it too complicated. That's one thing I don't want it to. I don't want to.
Well, that's never going to happen. It's the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Except they have the best. They have
Gary
the best replay.
Bettman, that's what he does. He makes things more difficult.
So I guess what I would do would be have 2 points, an extra. Have every team gets a point if they go to overtime. But if it's a conference opponent, in conference opponent, the winner then gets 2 points, gets an additional point. So instead of they're fighting for one other point, they get to fight for 2.
Well, then you'd have to make every win 3 points, because then you definitely have teams like, well, we're definitely going to overtime. I mean, so you'd have to make a win equal 3 points, and then an overtime loss a point.
Actually, here, even better. I would love to get rid of interconference play and just have West play West, East play East.
I disagree adamantly with that. I like to see the other teams. I definitely like to see the other teams. To me, hockey, I want to see the other teams. I wish they would do that in baseball. I really wish.
Oh, thank you.
Or at least cut it down. And obviously now they can't, because they threw odd number of teams in the leagues by moving Houston over to AL. But like I liked when it originally started, where you basically played 3 games against each team in you're basically in the same division of the other league. Basically, the AL Central plays the NL Central. You play each team 3 times that season. That's it. I didn't mind that at all. It gave you a taste, but wasn't overwhelming. And then it seemed like every year they kept adding more and more. And now they have to do it where there's always interleague play. Someone always has to be playing interleague play. It's just, it's too much. To me, it takes away a little bit of the World Series. I kind of like everyone argues whether they want the DH or not, and I always really liked the contrast. I always liked the DH in the AL, and I liked no DH. I liked the pitchers hanging for themselves in the NL. I liked the contrast in the leagues. I thought it set up for kind of like what's going to happen in the World Series. And now I think with interleague play, it kind of I don't know, it mushes it all together, and it's just, I really don't like it.
Yeah, what hurt it the most, I think, is television. Television has and the change in cable television has completely changed the dynamic into baseball and whatever it was before. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to be able to go back. I'd love to be able to just have AL play AL, NL play NL. You maybe play a geographic rival. That's it in an interleague play. But as far as I'm concerned, never the two shall meet unless at the World Series. But you can see any team pretty much any night of the week. The MLB Network exists. They carry live games. They have their own great highlight show. ESPN carries games. Regional Fox Sports carries games. Regional Comcast Sports Nets carry games. I mean, they're available to you. You can buy the extra innings package where you can see any out-of-market team where you want, if you really want to watch that team.
I honestly think if you want to watch any team, you have to get the MLB package. Otherwise, all you're going to do is be watching the Yankees, because Sunday Night Baseball is the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Northeast.
You on Monday they have it on the MLB Network. It's the Yankees versus the Rangers. Tuesday, someone's going to be playing the Yankees on national TV on TBS. Maybe I'm definitely sick of it. It's not even. I used to really give ESPN a hard time for it, but the MLB Network does the same thing. It's always the Yankees.
They're just as bad.
They really
are. I
should
say they're starting to get as bad. I mean, I think they're starting to add a lot more Rangers games. And that's not
with their game scheduling. I will say that their news programs, their highlight shows, much better.
Oh yes, even though I'm very split on some of the personalities that they have on there. I think Mitch Williams is great.
I'm guessing you don't like Harold Reynolds, but I love him.
I can tolerate him. He gets a little gomery at times and a little too stick person.
He has to show his roots, where he came from. came from you.
But that's what Mitch Williams is for. I don't need Kevin Kennedy and Dan Plesac at any time.
Yeah, I'm not a real big Dan Plesac fan, for sure.
Oh, he's insufferable. I find him absolutely insufferable.
He's a tough watch.
So, but yeah, that pretty much does it for me. You got anything else?
We've covered like 5 different sports. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we are. So,
Can't wait for the Olympics.
Yeah, the evacuating Olympics, or Call of Duty Sochi edition.
Yeah, let's hope nothing serious happens. But
right, I swear to God, if one NHL player ends up dead, that's it. Get out! No! Stop it! Stop it! Send the AHL or send college kids. I don't need my pros getting blowed up. I just don't need it.
I mean, most of them come from countries in war anyhow, so but they're out of that now, you know? They don't live in those countries anymore. Why are you sending them back?
Exactly. Oh, man. All right. You got anything else?
No, I think that's good.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Enjoy the off week from football. If you want to enjoy the two-hand grab-ass fest that is the Pro Bowl, go for it. There's some good hockey games on.
Draft tonight? Was it draft night? I think it was, right? I actually wanted to watch that. Oh, well.
I'm sorry I took you away from it. I'm sure they'll be replaying it on the NFL Network. So
they got probably like all summer long.
It's true. Senior Bowl happened, so you can look for all the scouting reports that are out there for that. That should be fun.
Oklahoma died in the
Who?
The Oklahoma quarterback. He tore his ACL. So.
Oh.
Yep.
And that's why you go pro. Get paid cash monies. So, all right, that about does it for me. Thanks a lot, Brandon, for hopping on. It was a good show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to Chicago Sports Update here on Intrepid Audio Productions. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter by searching IAP Podcasts, all one word. We make it easy to listen to us at home or on the go because you can subscribe to us via iTunes or on your browser at Spreaker.com. Listen to us on the go with the Stitcher Radio app, available for all smartphones. Want to interact with the team directly? Leave any questions, comments, or feedback you may have at our Facebook page. You can also like our page to know about special events, shows topics, and listen directly on our page to new and past episodes. Feel free to email us anytime at iappodcasts@gmail.com. IAP Podcasts, pioneering the best in independent podcasting.
Hello, listeners. Once you're done catching up with everything Intrepid Audio Productions has to offer, check out some other great independent podcast shows like the Knights of the Video Game Table podcast. Jeremy, Patrick, and Frank do great work, and it's worth your time to check them out. They're part of the Nerdgasm Network, where you can find other cool shows, including the Super Budget Brothers, the Nerdgasm Network Video Game Podcast, and all other shows, which can be found at extraplay.info. Give them a listen, because good, honest work can be hard to find.